You know, every manager needs a playbook, a go-to guide for the two things that can make or break any team: clear communication and real, effective control. So today, we're cracking open that playbook to look at the fundamental strategies that really win the game. Let's jump right in. So let's set the scene. Deadlines are creeping up, your team looks totally lost, and the whole project is just spiraling. We've all been there, right? It's that classic management nightmare. So what do? What's your next move? Well, the playbook says you start with two core skills. Let's break them down.
All right, part one of our playbook is all about communication. And look, this is way more than just talking. It's about mastering the intentional, purposeful exchange of information. If you get this right, pretty much everything else starts to fall into place.
At its heart, communication is actually pretty simple. It's the transfer of information and understanding from one person to another. And that second part, and understanding, that is everything. Seriously, if the other person doesn't really get what you mean, you haven't actually communicated. You've just made noise.
So how does this whole transfer of understanding even happen? Well, it works in a constant four-step loop. First, the sender takes a thought and encodes it into a message, words, an email, a gesture. Second, that message travels through some kind of medium. Third, the receiver gets it and has to decode it. And the most crucial part, step 4, is feedback. That's when the receiver's reaction closes the loop and tells the sender if the message actually landed the way it was supposed to.
But here's the catch. This whole loop is surprisingly fragile, and when it breaks down, the culprit is almost always the same thing: noise. And I don't just mean a loud truck going by. In communication, noise is anything that messes with the message. It could be a confusing email, a bad cell connection, or even just a preconceived idea in someone's head.
To slice through all that potential noise, one of a manager's best plays is choosing the right channel. Just think of channels as the different highways your message can travel down, and each one has its own speed limits and, well, potholes.
You've basically got two lanes to choose from. You've got your formal channels, which follow the official org chart, a report up to your boss, a company-wide memo. But then you have the informal channels. These just happen. They develop organically. It's everything from a quick chat in the hallway to the legendary grapevine, that unofficial network that every single company has. The really sharp managers, they know how to use both. They might even use the grapevine to float an idea or check the team's temperature before making a big formal announcement.
Of course, even if you pick the perfect channel, things can still go sideways. The real trick isn't just reacting when communication breaks down. It's about anticipating the defense. It's knowing what barriers are likely to pop up before they ever get in your way.
And you'll see a few usual suspects pop up again and again. You've got physical barriers, like your team being in different time zones, personal barriers, like two people who just have wildly different communication styles, and then there are the trickier ones: cross-cultural norms, missed nonverbal cues, and even gender differences that can lead to misunderstandings. Honestly, just knowing these exist is half the battle.
Okay, but here's the real insight. Great communication gets the play started, but it absolutely does not guarantee a win. To know if your strategy is actually working, if you're moving the ball down the field, you have to measure the results. You've got to keep score.
And that brings us to the second half of our playbook, the control plays. Now, I know what you're thinking. Control sounds kind of intense, right? A little restrictive, but it's not about micromanagement. Think of it more like your manager's dashboard. It's what gives you the live data you need to see what's happening and steer the project in the right direction.
So what is controlling, really? It's a simple, proactive loop. You monitor performance, you compare that performance against the goals you set, and then you take corrective action where you need to. It's this constant cycle of measure, compare, and adjust. That's it. So what should you actually be measuring? One of the most powerful tools out there for this is the balanced scorecard. It's brilliant because it gives you this 360-degree view of performance. It forces you to look beyond just the financial numbers. You also have to track things like customer satisfaction, how efficient your internal processes are, and even your team's culture and ability to innovate. It's a truly complete picture of your organization's health.
Okay, so if the balanced scorecard tells you what to measure, the control process tells you how to do it. This is your repeatable 4-step game plan for putting control into action.
Let's make this real. Step 1. You establish standards. What does success look like? Let's say it's reducing customer support tickets by 10%. Step 2. You measure the actual performance. You check the data and see tickets are only down by 5%. Okay. Step 3. You compare performance to the standard. You've got a 5% gap. Step 4. You take corrective action to close that gap. Maybe that means more training for the team or updating the FAQ page. And then, the whole cycle starts over again.
All right, so we've covered the theories in the playbook. Now let's make it personal. How can you get better at running these plays? Let's talk about the practical skills you need to build for the win.
Let's go all the way back to communication for a second. One of the absolute superpowers here is active listening. This means you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're fully present, you're asking open-ended questions, you're approaching the conversation with genuine curiosity, not judgment. This is how you make sure that understanding piece of the communication loop is rock solid.
And remember those informal channels we talked about, the grapevine? How do you build those? Well, that's all about networking. And the key is to do it with a purpose. Know what your goals are, focus on building genuine personal connections, and please, always, always follow up. That's how you build a powerful, supportive network of your own.
All of this really comes down to one powerful quote that just ties it all together. Jobs are earned, careers are managed. See, anyone can earn a job, but building a real career, that takes active management. It takes the proactive skills from this playbook, managing communication, controlling your progress, and building your network on purpose.
So the playbook is officially in your hands. You've got the communication plays to set the direction, and you've got the control plays to measure your progress and stay on track. The only question left is, which play are you going to run first?